I'm going to I'm going to start this process again so I can record it for you, and then I'll send you a YouTube link so you'll not forget. I'm going to go back to the way it was before with regard to the compatibility view. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm just going to walk through that process again. So if you're in Internet Explorer 10, which that's what this browser is, you're going to go to Billing, and in order to generate that 837 file that you can send through Ability, before you click Process Claims, you'll have to choose this compatibility view so that it turns bluish color, and then you're going to click Process Claims, and I'll let you take control again. So from the billing cycle, you can choose PPS. Do you have control of the mouse?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you can process wraps and or files. In this case, you're only interested in wraps, so you can just check wraps. And then click Start. Okay. Now notice there's one wrap that's ready to go. You can print the UB04 if you want. Let's have you go ahead and do that just so we can take a look. And first time around it does tend to take a little bit of time. While we're waiting for that, oh, I guess it probably came up by now. So it's going to say total charge of 0 on the UB04 because it's a wrap, but that's basically you know, the representation of the UB04 that's going to be going off, or the wrap that's going to be going off. So if that looks acceptable, it's the correct NPI, then you know, I think we should be good to go. That's the UB04, which is not what you're going to be sending to the Medicare. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click Generate Electronic File. So let me have you go ahead and click on that. Okay, wait, before you click Save, yeah, there you go. See that drop down? You can select that arrow and then say Save As. And then you can choose where you're going to put that. And so wherever you normally would save your EMC files.
It's right here.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead and click Save on that. Oh no, just above, in the window above. Oh wait, let's try that again. I think there was a save. There was a save up here that I was intending for you to click, but I think you clicked down here. Let me.
Maybe it's in the background right now.
Oh, is it somewhere back here? Maybe. Yeah, I don't have control to be able to see.
Let me see it. There you go.
Ah, there it is. Okay, now there's the save. You see that save? Yeah. Okay, now if you could go back. And then you can open the folder to see, do you see that open folder button? There you go. So there's the file, and you can rename that to be whatever you want it to be. But it's a big long name. It says, you know, X12 Medicare PPS April 25th, 2013, 9:22 and whatever in the morning. This is Central Time, but you can also see the time on here. Now, do you have access to the Ability account where you could send that off? Okay, yeah,
Get
that's
it?
yeah, that you can go ahead and do that.
That's the thing. Only
Okay.
EMC file or export.
Okay, that's fine. That's kind of what I thought might happen. I wasn't sure. Go ahead and click OK,
Okay.
and then go back to that folder where we saw that file. Okay, now this is not showing the file name extension. What you can do is you can click View, and there's options.
Right here. Show you.
Okay, there you go. Change. There you go. Okay, now show extensions. Um, there you go. Okay, now it's if you change that TXT to say EMC, if you just click on it, yeah, there you go, and then press Enter.
So yes.
Yes,
So right.
right.
Maybe because of the file.
Maybe it doesn't like that long file name or something. Let's take a look at that other file name and just name it something similar. Um,
Oh,
uh,
sorry.
oh,
I lose synergy. Sorry, I lose synergy. Are you still there?
yes, I'm here. Okay, now if you could go back into the folder, uh,
Okay. Actually,
into the folder that has the file in it, then
okay.
let's rename that
You
file.
said you want to see the. I think you want to see the file first, right? What kind of files do they processing?
Well, in the folder itself, there's another file. I think that was already there, another EMC file, or was there? Yeah, go ahead and show us what you have there.
Okay.
What's in the list? Okay, so it's just 0320.
It's right here. I'm gonna show you. It's not
Okay,
right here. That's the one.
so 020713. So it's like the file date.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want, you could do that. You could rename it to like 042513.emc. So yeah, go ahead and go back to the folder. It seems that Synergy wants it, or Ability wants it to be a certain file name. Or just put in 0425, yeah, 13. There you go.
That's that.
Okay. Hopefully now Synergy will be happy with that file name. We'll find out. So yeah, you can leave it like that and then go ahead and try to submit the claim again through Ability.
Princess said she wants to open this file. Can we open this file?
Sure, if you want to take a look at it.
Is that a regular file right there? Okay.
That's 837 claim file.
Would you like to see how their file is?
If you want to open up one of theirs, that's fine.
Okay. That's just for us to see.
Sure. Okay, that one is word wrapped. If you click on View or Format at the top, no, of the other one, uh, actually Format word wrap. Okay, theirs is all more compressed. they don't have show the return lines between each one apparently.
Do you think it will go from our side? I mean,
Well, we can. The only thing we can do now is let's go ahead and try and see what will happen if we
okay. All right, let's try it.
submit it.
Close this.
I honestly haven't done this before going through Synergy, so this is experimental.
There you go. It's always the first one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it goes.
Good. Good. Well, I guess we'll find out in a bit. Do you have a way of checking the 999s?
Not yet, because it will take about 2 days for them for me to see it in Medicare side.
Okay. So there's no way that you can receive the 999 files back through Ability, I guess.
Well, if they're going to give us a file, because usually they give us a 277, Ken,
Okay.
but not right away. It will probably take about a minute or so.
Okay. So yeah, I'm recording
Let's see if
this, and so you can you'll be able to review this process again.
Yes, sir. So there's no 277 yet. So maybe
Right.
in a few minutes we can see it.
Right.
All right. So going back to Care Portal.
Okay. So now one final step before we leave here. Do you see that button down there that says Save Claims and Exit?
Yep.
Oh, also, before you do that, do you see this one that says View Print Details? If you want to have a kind of a paper trail of what was billed, you can go ahead and click that, and it should come up with a list. And in this case, there's only one wrap in the list, but go ahead and click on that to bring it up.
All right.
So you can print that off or save it or whatever you want to do for your records.
Sounds good.
Do you want to do that now? Do you want to go ahead and print it, or?
I can save it.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
Oh, this is just for one.
Normally, this process would be much easier if you have the password for Ability, but
Yeah.
password for NGS, I mean. You can name that whatever you want, yeah. Okay, now before you leave the screen, do you see that Save Claims and Exit?
Yes.
That is necessary. It's absolutely critical that you do that so that it doesn't get rebuilt again in the future now that you've already built it. So that Save Claims and Exit down here is going to mark it as having been billed in Care Portal.
Okay.
Okay, it's still waiting at the top here. It says, okay. Okay, now if you go home, let's go into the claim batch log. Okay, now do you see this kind of a funky layout here? That means that we're still in compatibility mode. So you're going to need to uncheck this here to take us back to the normal view. Do you see that little button there? So when you go into billing and go to process claims, you're going to want to check that to get into the compatibility mode. Then when you finish, then you're going to go click that again to make it back to normal. All right, so now we're going to go to billing and take a look at the claim batch log. So we can see that that there's a claim batch submitted on 425. There's the file. There's the attachment that shows what was in that claim. So you can see the UB04. So that way you have a permanent record of what was billed. And you can also go into it to see what the individual claims that were part of that batch. You can also put in batch notes here to say, put in some notes and say submitted through Ability. something like that to let you know that this did not go through Care Portal. It went through Ability. So it tells you submitted through Ability. That's just my recommendation, that you make your notes like that to remind you of what you did. Because normally in the future, once your Ability account has been terminated, you'll no longer need to use Ability for doing the transmissions, the claim submissions to Medicare. And then once that happens, then you can make it so that you can submit directly from Care Portal. Or once you get the password, the problem is, you may get the password from Synergy and you'll be able to submit directly from Care Portal, but sometimes there's a problem with Ability stealing those files. My recommendation is, if you know how to configure Ability so that it doesn't remove the files once it downloads them, you're talking about the 999s, the 277s, and the 835s. Do you know if there's a way in Ability to configure that so that it doesn't remove the files from the system?
Actually, that 999, the 277, you can always look at it here at Synergy.
Okay.
Under Billing, and then download from the intermediary via Ability.
Okay, good. So, do you know the folder where that goes to, or you're able to access that folder?
It's actually on the claims received folder.
Okay, good. So in order to complete the cycle, now you've gotten the claims sent, but now later on you're going to receive some 999 files, 277s, 835s. I'd like to show you how to complete the cycle by uploading those files into Care Portal, so that Care Portal can then process them and recognize that they've been paid or they've been processed or accepted. The way you do that, it's very simple. If you close this, and you go back to Care Portal, and go back, and you see the Upload Electronic Remittance Advice files? Go ahead and click on that. Okay, and you see the browse here?
Yeah.
So if you have a remittance advice file, but not only remittance advice, it's kind of, it's a misnomer. It's not just remittance advice, but also any 999s or 277s. You can browse, and you can locate the file from the Ability download. You select it and you open it, and then you click up to 10 files at a time, and then you click Upload, and then that will automatically post your 999s, your 277s, and your ERAs into Care Portal, and then it will reflect, as the status will reflect correctly in Care Portal. So that's important. If you're going to be submitting through Ability, then you need to complete the cycle by grabbing the files. And now, what happens though if you accidentally upload a file that was meant for Synergy claims? That's not a problem. Care Portal will just ignore those. So if you accidentally pick too many files to upload, or the wrong files, it doesn't matter at all. It's more harmful to not pick enough. It's not harmful at all to pick too many. So if you don't know which ones are which, just upload them all.
Can we try it?
Yeah, sure. Well, we can do that, but there's nothing that's going to be there for Care Portal yet, so it's not going to. You can walk through the process. Go ahead and click on Browse, and we'll show you how to, maybe choose an ERA file or a.
Which one do you want to?
Just that one is fine. It doesn't matter.
Okay, let's try this one. This one is the plain.
Okay. Well, no, that one is 830. That's a payment. 835. It looks like. So that's fine. That's
okay.
Good. Right. Mm-hmm. So then that's the file there, and then you just click Upload at the bottom. So then it's done. It's uploaded, and then you can do as many more as you want. It says File Uploaded here. So then, if that had contained payments for claims that were generated in Care Portal, then they would be posted automatically into Care Portal, into your claim batch log. So that when you come back, to billing claim batch log, then you would see the net reimbursement updated or reflected from the payments that have been posted.
Okay. I have a question, Ken, if you
Uh-huh.
don't mind.
Uh-huh.
So what if I submitted the claim using a manual billing? Let's see, print the UV4, go to DDE, and then manually input it in the Medicare.
Oh, so they would use DDE to input the claims manually?
Yes.
Uh, all bets are off on that. I don't know what would
So
happen with.
I know how to bill manually.
Right.
But how would I tag the claim so that it would be like tagged as sent or sent?
Okay. Well, what I would do is I would recommend, process your claims and so that they process as normal, and then you click save and exit, but you just don't save the electronic claim file. You don't do anything. You don't send it from Care Portal. You just save it so that it's registered as having been sent or having been saved.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, but when the payment of the 835.5010 comes.
Yeah, then you'll have to put it in manually. You would have to put in the claim to the. Let's go back. I'll just show you here how you might do that. So for McCants, we can go to claims down here. Do you see this?
Okay.
Okay, and this will give a record of when it was submitted. So it says today, 4/25, the wrap was billed for this amount. So if you received a payment manually, or you want to record it manually without having a file to upload, then you click Add Manual Adjustment, and you say maybe that was a remittance advice, and then you could say, post it to that claim, put today's date or whatever date you received that payment, and then paper remittance, and then you could say 1914.23 was the amount paid. I'm going to save this and then I'll delete it just to illustrate how this would work. Okay, so anyway, the balance is now 0 because, and it looks like it was out of order here, 425. If I choose 426 here, I would put it in the. You know what? This compatibility view might be needed for this too. I don't know. There's a couple things we're finding that Internet Explorer 10 is quite new, that it doesn't necessarily behave like it always should. So if you go to Claims, Edit, and then let's change this to be maybe the 26th. So you can see that there's a balance of 0 now that it's been paid. It was, so this is a paper remittance advice. Now if I click X here to delete it, then that removes that manual payment. So now I have a balance again of 1914. Okay, if I go back out of compatibility view. All right, yeah, I'm taking a note of a couple things that have happened in Internet Explorer 10 that I'm seeing that I did not realize were, issues in this particular browser. But if you get an input string error when you're working in Internet Explorer 10, that could be an indication that you just need to go into compatibility mode. The problem with compatibility mode is that the layout or the format is just not very pretty. So it's best to keep it out of compatibility mode unless you have a need to go into that. All right, so any other questions about the claims processing?
Do you guys have a place where you can send somebody to do training for everything on this careful?
I'm having a hard time hearing. You asked if we have a place where you can do what?
Do a training on the Care Portal. Like she will send 2 people in a place where the complete comprehensive training of Care Portal.
Okay. There is we're in the process of developing a user guide and training manual, and I can show you that. It's tinyurl.com/user CP, like Care Portal, and then user guide.
Check your website, Ken. I think it's missed.
Oh, yeah, tin URL. tinyurl.com/CP user guide. Do you see that? So take note of that, tinyurl.com/care portal user guide or CP user guide. And then I'm going to press enter. And so we have training video number 1 with links to each of the types of operations you might want to do. The first training video has some back office functionality for initial setup, and then initial intake, and then showing you how to do an OASIS entry and submit it to the back office. Then it shows you how to generate a wrap for a patient and send that off. Training video number 2 gets into more details, so it shows you how to do things like how to sign the 485, how to do a PT assessment, how to submit it back to the back office and then return control back to the point of care. Let's see, exporting the OASIS assessments, processing some claims, discharge assessment, final claims processing. So each of these you can click to go. This is all one video here, but these take you to certain points in the video that you might be interested in. Now then we have some documents here, and this is a work in progress. This is a fairly recent development we've been working on to create a manual that allows you to jump to, if you have certain questions that you want to know how do I do this or how do I do that, how to determine when a therapist is reaching the 13th visit, 19th visit, or 30-day limit. So then you can click to see a document or a video. Most of these are documents. Some of them have both a document and a video. How do I change the primary physician in a transmitted OASIS? So we're making progress on adding a number of commonly asked questions. How do I do this or how do I do that? So we have a video, a couple of videos that cover everything from a comprehensive standpoint from beginning to end. But then we also have individual tasks that you might want to be able to do that aren't necessarily covered in the videos up here. So you've got clinical, workflow, billing, reporting, and so forth. So is that sort of what you're? But in addition to that, we're glad to provide in-house training for you, sort of like we're doing now, just to work through. And I'm recording this training session, so I'll send you a video link of what we're talking about now and the process that we just went through. And again, the process that we did now for the OASIS or the wrap transmissions was much more involved than you would normally have to experience, because we don't have the password yet for submitting to NGS. So we had to go through a more manual process. Otherwise, to submit a claim to Medicare directly from Care Portal, it's just a matter of clicking one button after you've selected the claim. All right. I'm sorry, could you start again? I'm not hearing very well.
Okay, sometimes when we come in here and try to watch the video, it's not coming up. So what are we going to do in a situation like that? Okay, is it particular computers that don't have the ability to watch a video? This one. That's your, click on that, let's see. No, let's go to, is that a video? Oh, yeah. Yeah, these are videos. Okay, try that. Now, can you expand it? What happened? Oh, okay. She tried it. It wasn't coming off. Okay, close it. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Let me go back to the. Oh, that's not the one. Did we lose the link for the video, or for the? I guess we lost the. Yeah.
It's tinyurl.com/cp-user-guide.
CP user guide. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. At least I know what to do with everybody calling me like help.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll be glad to work with you on specific topics, and I see you've been successfully adding some assessments, and you validated some assessments, and you've done some visits. I just want to make sure that you are comfortable with the process, and that you're able to catch up on your past due visits and so forth, because point of care works best when you keep up with your visits on a day-to-day basis, so that you're not always behind, and you can then submit your claims and your assessments immediately, or very soon after the actual visits occur. And then yeah.
Sorry to stop you, but can you help us on one patient, if you don't mind?
Sure. That's what I'm here for. Now, what I was going to say though was that it's best, if possible, just in the interest of using the resources as best as we can. I know different nurses are in different places at different times. What we're really not able to do is we're not able to take calls from specific clinicians who may not have had training before, and they just want to receive our help to how do I put in a visit. Well, as much as I like to be a nice guy and help everybody in that situation, I just don't have the the bandwidth or the resources to be able to do one-on-one with each clinician every time that they have a question. So it's best if you could review some of this training, and then if those who haven't been involved in any of the previous training sessions could review some of these videos to see what what applies to them. And then also, if somebody who is knowledgeable in the agency could be the first point of resources, so that if a field staff doesn't know how to put in a visit, then somebody in the office who does know how to do a visit will then be able to help them. And if that's not possible, if they're not able to help them, then you could submit a ticket, and we'll get right back to you. Normally we get right back to you if you submit a ticket. Now, I have received some tickets in the past, and I've tried calling back, but apparently I had the wrong number. So I apologize for if you would perceive that I was not responsive to some of your help desk tickets, but I think we have the right number to call back now. And also, when you submit a ticket, it works. It only works if you can see that we've responded. So we usually respond right away. But if you're not checking the help desk to see that we responded, or if you're not checking your email to see that we responded, then you might get frustrated thinking that we haven't responded when we really did. So I just want to make sure you are aware that we do respond very quickly. And I know that you may be used to picking up the phone and calling at any time, for Synergy or whatever. We work a little bit differently, and so it's a little bit of an adjustment. But I think most of our customers find that it works very well, because then there's a permanent written record of all of the requests that you have, and then we're able to follow up and close those tickets without letting them fall through the cracks. It just helps keep everything in line. So anyway, so if you have a patient, let's go ahead and take a look at that patient, and we can work through whatever questions you have about that. I think there was another browser window open, maybe down here, that had Care Portal in it. Now, does this patient need to have eligibility checked for them? Or?
I think it's more on validation.
Social Security number. Okay, so sometimes what I might do here, in a case when there's multiple errors or potential issues, I'm going to right click. I selected that, right click, and I'm just going to I don't know, I see Word here. I just kind of click on Word and then blank document. There, if there was Notepad, I don't know if you have Notepad up, but I'm just going to paste it in. That way, then I can refer back to it here. Okay, so it says the Social Security number has not been answered. Now, normally, when you do a patient intake, the Social Security number is not required at that point. But once you do complete the OASIS, as you step through, I just now click Next, and I'm going to go Next again to Demographics. And then do you see there's Social Security number? If you don't know what it is, you either need to put it in or you need to click Unknown. Yes. So do you know what the Social Security number is, or does the patient not have one? If the patient doesn't have one, you can click Unknown.
Let's look at the Medicare number. It's usually the same.
Okay, it's up here. So then you could just type in 258. Okay, good. So that takes care of that. Now if I go back to my Word document here, diagnosis coding flag, the following may be inconsistent. Pressure ulcer M1306. Does patient have any pressure ulcer stage 2 or higher or stage 1 to 0? Okay, so what it's saying is that you've put in a diagnosis code of pressure ulcer, but in M20M, okay, M1306, you put no. So what we do here is, oh, that's the wrong one. We got too many windows up. I don't know which one. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go next, and then you can maybe navigate to your wounds. Oh, you know what? I jumped too far. Navigate. Let's just here's the 1300. 1300. Okay, so it says 1306. So I don't know what you want to do to correct it. Either maybe change the diagnosis so that it doesn't have a pressure ulcer, or select yes here so that it does have, you are recording the pressure ulcer. And then let's take a look at this other one here. So in other words, you answered yes for M1600 urinary tract infection. So it's recommending that you should probably add 599 as a diagnosis. Mm-hmm. You might get paid a little bit more money for that then.
Yes, ma'am. So as much as possible, we should, everything in OBK has to be 0, right?
Yeah, I mean, those are not fatal, mostly fatal errors. The Social Security one was a fatal error because that had been left blank. But usually you'll want to make sure that you put in the Social Security number as soon as you know that. But if we don't require it up front because we don't expect that you always would know that. So, but by the time you validate the assessment, you need to have put that in there.
Should you put an asterisk on that so that if it's a fatal one and you forgot it? What do you think?
Well, we could put an asterisk on it, but then if the intake person doesn't know what it is at that time, then they would be forced to choose unknown, and then that might cause it to be validated without actually putting it in. Where so if we do it like this, then it catches it before they actually submit it to the state, and then that way it forces them to make a decision. So I think the way we've done it is probably the best, because you just have to make sure that the intake person puts it in when they know it, or that the skilled nurse who's doing the start of care puts it in once they know it. But if this happens several times, you'll get used to it, and you'll realize, oh, I need to put that in, before it becomes a problem.
Got it.
All right. So did you have any more questions about this one, or is that okay for now?
I think we're good with that patient. Thank you.
Okay.
I think the eligibility is not yet checked.
Which patient was that again, Nathaniel?
Nathaniel.
Okay. You want to go ahead and check the eligibility?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like it's correct. I mean, the spelling of the name is, it's only got a middle initial there. That if you want to put the B in, you can, but otherwise everything looks good.
No, nobody's on the case, Ken, right? I mean, no
Sorry?
other agencies in the case right now.
A lot of agencies, or there's no other agency that's seeing the patient. If there had been another agency that was seeing the patient, it would tell you that.
So eligibility, Ken, does it tells us also whether there's another agency?
Yes,
The
if there's
patient went to
another
the
agent,
hospital?
if there's another agency seeing the patient, it will let you know. Or if it's a Medicare Advantage patient, it will let you know. Or if it's an MSP patient, it will let you know. So any of those things, it will let you know.
Yeah. How about if the patient is in the hospital? Does it say?
It doesn't currently tell you that, but we have plans to include that very soon. So.
And then once we click on the eligibility, Ken, and we want to check it again, like after a few months or like 1 month, if we click it again, will
okay.
it
If you transfer the patient and they resume care, then it will automatically allow you to. It will become yellow again, so you can check it again. Or if you restart the patient, it will become yellow again. So.
Okay, so we can just click and checking it, right?
Right. We're open to making changes to how that works, but it costs us a few cents every time somebody clicks on that. So if we made it so it was unlimited, then people would be clicking all the time, and then the cost would go out of control. If you have DDE, you can check again sometimes. But at least every time that there's a transfer and resumption, and then also when there's a restart, then you can recheck the eligibility.
Okay, 485. What's that question?
My question is, if I want to look at it, how easy can I get it?
Okay.
Well, you said how can she get into 485?
How can you click see the 485? Okay, so you go to View Docs here. And then you can either print the entire comprehensive assessment, or you can print just the 485 along with the face-to-face. So, I'm sorry. Every time she speaks, I can't hear. I don't know if she's saying something right now.
Yes, actually there is. Okay, this is good. All right.
Then there's also the face-to-face there.
Okay. Question, Ken, here's the question.
Uh-huh.
So after the discipline or the clinician submit the OASIS or notes,
right?
So they usually sign and submit it, right?
Right, if they're ready.
Okay.
Yes,
If it's ready, yeah. So on our back office side, if we want to QA it, want to review it, and then we found some mistake and we want to change the mistake.
Right.
How are we going to do the review, and at the same time, how are we going to change the mistake without giving it back to the clinician?
Okay. So are you wanting to correct it without re-signing it, or you want
Oh, it has to be re-signed?
Well, if you make a change to it, then it has to be re-signed because
Okay, let's go back first. How once they submit the OASIS or the notes, how can we QA it? How can we review it?
Okay. Well, and some agencies do it a little bit differently. It depends on how their protocols work. But the point of care clinician on the field, when they complete the note and they submit it to the back office, they have a choice. There's one button that says sign/submit and another that says submit. Okay. So they don't have to sign it at the time that they submit it. If you as an agency decide that you don't want your clinicians to sign it the first time, just tell them to submit it rather than sign submit. Okay. So then at that point, then that will give you a chance to QA it in the back office and make any changes that you want to make to it. Then you can confirm that visit, and when the visit is confirmed, it will send a hot list message back to the point of care user. This is a new feature, this hot list message I'm talking about. Will send a message to the point of care user to tell them to sign it after the fact. Let me just give you two options. One option is, and this is the traditional option that we normally recommend to most agencies, but if you have a concern about it, you can use a different option. The first option is tell your clinicians to sign and submit whenever they're done with their note. Okay, but when you receive the note in the back office, you're going to see it under clinical documents owned by office. After it's turned in, you're going to see documents owned by office. Okay, and you're going to see some that are, this one here has been signed already. Signed, unsigned, signed, unsigned, unsigned. The S means signed, U means not signed, unsigned. Okay, so let's say that you receive the signed visit from the PT here, or from the SN. Well, when you go into here, it's going to tell you can't change this because it's been signed. Okay, so what you can do is, you can print it and see what it looks like and say, oh, okay, well, it looks good. So once you determine that it looks good, I'm going to click OK to accept that signature on this. So you determine that it looks good, then you're done. You can just you can confirm it. Let's see, do you see this confirm button? It says confirmed is no, so you can confirm it for billing. But if you find a problem after you print it, in doing your QA, then you can say to remote, send it back to the remote user and tell them what they did wrong. So once you do that, then they will see that note. If I click on here, I'm not going to do it actually, but then let's see, skip hot list message. You can send a message saying, fix, fix vitals or whatever. And then you can click urgent if you want, and then click add hot list message and exit. And so then that will send a message back to them to tell them that they need to fix the vitals, and it will also allow them to correct it and then resubmit it. I'm going to skip the hot list message and exit here. You know what I just did? I shouldn't have done this submit.
I think you send it back to them.
Do you recall what patient that was for?
I don't remember.
Let's see, documents owned by remote user.
It's a PT. I know it's a PT.
Sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I thought I would have a chance to cancel, but I didn't have a chance to cancel. Anyway, so what you do is you send it back to the user. The user then can unsign it, fix it, and then re-sign it and resubmit it back to the back office. That's the round trip cycle that I normally recommend. There's an unsigned button for any of these that have been signed. So if I go to clinical and then documents owned by office, if I go to sign here, there's a unsigned button that if you are a super user, you can unsign it. or if you are the person who signed it originally, if you're logged in as the person who originally signed it, then you'll have an unsigned button. But in order to make a change, if you think about what a signature means that you have given your approval regarding the contents of that note. And if the contents of the note change, then you have to unsign it to then, so that you can then turn around and re-sign it and give your approval to the revised version of the note. So that's why the unsigned is necessary. It would be illegitimate to change a note once it's been signed without unsigning it, because then your signature doesn't mean anything anymore.
Got it. Yes.
So once you send it back to the point of care user, then they will see that note in their open documents. You click My Open Documents, and they'll see that note, and then they can resubmit it. But all of these notes here that are in documents owned by Office or a remote user, let's see if there's so there's several outstanding notes that need to be turned in. So you should try to monitor your users and say, hey, you see you've started this note, why haven't you turned it in yet? So you can keep this list low, short. Now that was option number one. Option number one was, the user signs the note and then submits it to the back office. If there's a problem with the QA and they need to return it back, then they can do it just like I showed, and then put a hot list message saying that they need to correct the vitals or whatever it is they need to correct. Or if you in the point of care or in the back office, if you as a QA person want to make the change yourself, you can do that. But if they've already signed it, you would have to unsign it. And then you're going to, once you make the correction, you're going to have to send a hot list message using, hot list HLM here. You can just send it, you can create a new hot list item to say, patient, I don't know what the name of a patient is here. So you can put in a patient name, and you can send it to whoever you want to send it to, whichever worker in the list. Let's say you want to send it to Otuma. So you put her in the list, and then you say, please sign. And if this patient had an activity or a visit, you could choose the visit from the list. This particular patient apparently doesn't have a visit in the system to be able to choose from. But there's that way you can send it back to and then mark it as urgent and tell them to sign it. But otherwise, when you validate, when you fix a note, let's say that when you validate a note here in the back office, documents owned by Office, and then you choose a note, and then you validate it, you confirm it. Once you confirm it, then that clinician should receive a hot list message. If they have not already signed it, they'll receive a hot list message saying that they need to sign that note. So maybe that's what you want to do, is you want, you can correct it. If you tell the users in the point of care not to sign the note immediately, but just to submit it without signing it, then you as a QA person can make any changes you need to make, and then when you click confirm, then that will send a hot list message to the point of care user that they need to sign that visit. Does that make sense? Am I confusing you by giving you too many options?
Mrs. said she didn't quite get it. It's just probably too much options.
Okay.
Is it okay if you do the second option again, if you don't mind?
Okay, sure.
Sorry, Ken.
So, do you have a nurse who has who's able to log in as a point of care right now? that we can show?
We don't have a nurse right now.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just describe it. When the nurse completes the visit note in the point of care, there will be a button down here. One of them will be sign/submit. The other will be just submit. Okay, so maybe you should, if the option number 2 is tell them.
Ken?
Go ahead. Yes.
Sorry to this. Yeah, can you because can you go back to the like home, like when we logged in, so that we can. There you go. Here you go.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe I should show you in a sample database, because if that's why I asked if you had a nurse who could log into.
Actually, my username is also, I think, a physical therapy. Would that work?
Well, but if no visits have been assigned to you or performed by you, then it won't. I won't be able to illustrate what I want to show you.
Oh.
But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a sample database.
Well, Lisa said that just do whatever you did before. I mean.
Well, it's probably going to be easier if I go into a sample database, although it's going to. This hasn't been used today, so it's going to take a bit to run it. Okay, so. Okay, so here I am. I'm a point of care user, and I've got some open. Maybe I have some open documents here. I don't know if I do or not. Again, everything I do on here is going to be slow until I. Okay, so here is a PT revisit. Okay. I'm in the point of care, and I'm looking at my open document list, ones I have not yet submitted. Now, do you see I have here submit and then sign submit?
Yep.
Okay. So what I'm recommending for option number 2, it's, tell your clinicians, instead of, if you want to have full QA control when they submit their notes so that you can make changes on your side, the decision you have to make is, are you going to be the one in the back office making the necessary changes, or are you going to be asking your clinicians to be making the changes? So it
depends on the changes, maybe.
Right.
I mean.
Okay, but in general, do you want your clinicians to complete the notes and sign them when they submit them? Are they usually pretty accurate? If they're accurate 75% of the times where you don't have to make any changes, then maybe they should just sign and submit it, and then you're done. But if you have clinicians that are very error prone and you want to make a lot of changes typically, then just tell them to submit it, and then that way it will go back to the back office as an unsigned note. Okay. And so when you are in the back office doing the QA on this, you might see a lot of changes that need to be made, so you change them yourself in the back office, and then when you click confirm to confirm the note for billing, then it will send a hot list message to the point of care user saying they need to sign this note. So they're going to have to come in the point of care and find this note again, and then click sign for that note.
So let's say for example, Ken, this note has been submitted without signature. How we're going to do it in the back office side?
Well, then you're going to need to, the point of care clinician is going to have to be the one to sign it still, because it's not legitimate for the QA person to sign it on behalf of the clinician who actually did the note.
Okay. All right. Got it. So to review notes or OASIS on the back office, you gave us 2 options a while ago.
For the OASIS, or are we talking about visit notes?
regardless whether it OASIS or visit notes.
Okay.
I mean, any paper or.
Right. Okay. For OASIS, you don't. The clinician will not even have the option to sign submit initially, because we require that the back office person has to validate the assessment before it can be signed by the clinician. So then the clinician will, once it's been validated, once the assessment has been validated, then the clinician will receive a text or a hot list message, and this is a new feature that we've recently put in place. Will receive a text message or a hot list message indicating that they need to sign that assessment. So, and they will also see it in my dashboard. You see this dashboard option here? So I'm going to choose my dashboard, and it's going to show me any visits that I have submitted to the back office that I have not yet signed yet. But this one doesn't have any in this particular case. But if you are a clinician who has completed some assessments and some visits, and if you go to my dashboard, then there'll be a section here that says unsigned visit notes or unsigned assessments, unsigned 45s, and then you'll be able to sign them from there by clicking on them.
Okay. All right. Can we go back to the back office scan?
Okay.
And let's do the review on how to review the.
Okay.
Review a let's say OASIS or.
Right. So here you're going to go to, you can, if you know an OASIS or a particular patient for whom you want to review the OASIS, you can just select the patient here and then go into their documents, or you can go to documents owned by office to see for all patients for assessments that have come in recently, and these are ones that have been by default the assessments that have not been validated yet. So it shows complete, but they have not yet been validated.
Okay.
So it looks like you have quite a few here that are ready to, or these are V for visit note, A for assessment. Yeah, there's quite a few visit notes that have not been confirmed, visit notes that are not confirmed. So the idea is with
how do we confirm them?
Okay, so for assessments, we talk about the concept of validating the assessment, but for visit notes, we talk about the concept of confirming them. It's very similar in concept. Validate is scrubbing it for all to look for any issues that would prevent it from going to Medicare. But confirming is just a matter of you telling it that you're ready to bill. So that's up to you when you want to confirm it. So you just go in here, you select one of these visits, and then you can click on confirmed here to confirm it. Confirm and then save or save exit, and that will confirm it for you. But in order to bill for the final claims, if you want a particular visit to be included on the final claim, then you're going to have to confirm that visit.
Got it.
Now, once you've confirmed your visit,
again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So what if it's a missed visit? Do we have to confirm it?
It's probably a good idea to go ahead and confirm it, just so that it disappears from this list, because this list will tell you the ones that have not yet been confirmed. It won't be billed. I mean, if you confirm it, as long as it's not billable, do you see here in each visit there's a billable checkbox? You see that? So for a missed visit, if I click on MV here for missed visit, notice the billable checkbox goes away. I can still check it if I want to, but by default, it's not going to be billable if I choose missed visit. I'm going to click cancel here so I don't inadvertently save that. But so what you want to do is you want to keep this list to a minimum, because once you've confirmed it, it will disappear from this list. But if you want to go back and see the ones that you have confirmed, you can click on plus confirmed, and that will show you all the ones that have yet have both been confirmed and not confirmed. Or once it's been billed, it's not going to show on this list either. But if you want to see the billed ones, you can click on this to see the ones that have been billed. So you can successfully see more and more visits. But by default, it's only going to show you the ones that haven't been confirmed yet. All right, so if you know that some of these are ready to go, like this one has been signed, if you want to go ahead and confirm it. Now, once it's been signed, there's no checkboxes on here, so instead you'll have to click the confirm button here instead of clicking a checkbox here, because it's all read-only here. So if you want, you can confirm that. I don't know if this one is ready to go, if you've QA'd it, but if you have QA'd it and it's ready to be billed, or, you know, later on when you come time to do the final claims, if you want this to be included, then you can go ahead and click confirm, and then that will remove it from your normal to-do list here. This is like a to-do list, like your dashboard. You can also filter by workers. So if you want to see, you know, a particular worker's visits, you can. Well, Tuoma.
All right, Ken.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, I have a patient. Let's say the first one on the list, the one that says sign. Okay. By Oka, there you go, the first one, and I want to tell Otama that there's actually she needs to fix it.
Right.
Yeah, we fix on our side, but she needs to sign it. So how we're gonna do that? That's actually what Princess wondering. How we're gonna send a message to Otama to sign it.
Okay. So it's already been signed, but if you need to tell her to make a correction to it, then you could click to remote.
No, I mean we are the one who did the correction, and we just want to send her a message or something.
Okay. Well, if you needed to make a correction, you would have to click unsign and then make the change, and then you're going to once you check box that says confirm. Once you confirm it, then she'll receive, if it's not been signed, she'll receive a message, a hot list message automatically telling her that she needs to sign it.
Oh, she will click on the article. We are not supposed to click on that and send it.
Do we need to click on the hot list message to send the message, or it will automatically?
No. In fact, we just last week we put in an automated mechanism to cause it to send a message back to the point of care user once you confirm the note. So if you make a change and you confirm it, then that will automatically send a message back to her to tell her she needs to sign it. But you could also, at any time, you could click hot list message up here, you know, if you want, you know, if you want to tell her some other information, or if you want to send it back to her to have her make some further corrections, you can click to remote, and then you will have an opportunity to put in more instructions and say, please correct the vitals and re-sign or resubmit.
Yeah. I have a question. I think we're all set, Ken. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let me just pause. Anybody have any other questions that they're struggling with? We want you to, you know, feel like you know, like you're not having to be frustrated, you know, so this is your opportunity to ask any other questions. And please do get in, you know, feel free at any point to submit a help desk ticket, and don't feel like that's just a waste of time, because we will get back to you on that.
Can we go back to the sample database, and then I just like you to do, let's say, because what we can do on our side is to schedule their visit, right?
Right.
But what if they need to, like, on the middle of the certification, patient went to the hospital, and they want to create, let's say, a transfer OASIS.
Right.
So on their dashboard, the clinician dashboard, how can they do an assessment OASIS visit or transfer in OASIS?
Okay. So what you could do is, now is it typically the back office scheduler who would tell the clinician that they need to do a transfer, or is the clinician the one who makes that decision?
most of the time is the clinician. They're the one who will who will know first, because usually the patient or the patient caregiver will call the clinician rather than the office. So it's like 80% the clinician knows about the transfer in.
Okay. So you can do it in one of two ways. If the clinician is actually visiting the patient in conjunction with the transfer assessment and wants to use that as a visit, then that probably should be just use a scheduled visit. Let's say that there were, the patient or the clinician is in the patient's home already, and they realize, okay, they're being transferred to the hospital, today or tomorrow or whatever. So they would just use their regular daily visit to, use that as a transfer. Instead of doing a skilled nursing note, they would just do a transfer based on what they see in their calendar. But if they've already done a routine visit note and they want to do a transfer on top of that, then they could create an unscheduled OASIS. So,
okay, so how are you going to do that on the clinician center?
Okay, so for example, I could go to physician lookup, or no, sorry, select patient, and then I could say, look up the patient. Maybe I'm not in the one that I thought I was in. Oh, you know what? I don't have access to that patient that I was looking at. 1 second. Let me just do select patient and search. There's nothing in that. My stocks, my open documents. Okay, so if I'm, I have this patient named Beamon. And then I know why it wasn't showing up, because these are old patients and they're more than 30 days ago or 60 days ago, so it's not showing, it's not letting me search for any patients. But if you were on the field and you had patients assigned to you, you would be able to use that search patient to look up whatever patient it was. But if I go into patients visits here, then I can click I don't have a good example. Let me sign out and sign into a different user that I know will have that available.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got a patient here, Harrison Ford. Well, he's already a transfer patient, so that's not a good example. But let's just choose this patient, Doolittle. And if I want, then I can, once I select the patient, then I can go into assessments and visits. I'm in the point of care here, so it looks like the back office. Once you select a patient, it looks more like the back office. Then you select assessments and visits, and then you say create unscheduled assessment. So in other words, if you're wanting to create an unscheduled one, you could do that here, create unscheduled assessment. Normally, you would want to latch onto a scheduled visit, but I'm just showing you how you would do it if you were doing an unscheduled one. So then you would choose transfer here, and you could just, maybe it's documentation only, or maybe it's a, routine visit. You can choose what kind of code it is, but if it's just a documentation only, where you've already done maybe you've already done the daily nursing note, but in addition you want to do a documentation only visit. So then you just click documentation only, and then you click next. Once you click next or save, then it will automatically change the patient status from admit or whatever it was into transferred. So that patient will be in transfer status automatically once you put in start the transfer assessment. You don't have to complete the transfer assessment right away. As soon as you click next or save, that will automatically put the patient in transfer status.
Okay, Ken?
Yes.
Yes. Usually transfer OASIS is not billable, but from the way I look at it, it's got visit set and the time. Will that complicated the billing process?
Oh, okay. So if you want to, if there's no visit, you can say no visit performed.
Okay.
So then that will make it so that there's no times or anything captured, just the date.
Okay. Yeah, usually transfer base is not billable, correct?
Right, unless you're actually performing a visit on the same day as the transfer. But yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, you would just say no visit performed, and then that's the way you would handle that. So you have two options. I mean, it just depends on what the situation is. If there's already a visit scheduled for today, and then you know that you want to put in the transfer for today, you can go into your calendar and select that scheduled visit, and then use that to do your transfer. But then you might say no visit performed, and then that way it wouldn't get billed.
Can we look at the assessment name, Ken?
Okay.
ROC. How about resumption of care, Ken? Oh, you don't have it here.
Okay, resumption of care is not showing here because the last patient or the last assessment was not a transfer. So the only time a resumption of care shows up is when the last assessment was a transfer. But I can choose another patient, select patient, search. It looks like there's a transfer patient here, Harrison Ford. So do you see that says transferred up here? That means that if I click on View Docs, I can see the history. Looks like the last assessment was a transfer, so that's why it says transferred up here.
Okay.
Okay, now, but if I want to create a new assessment, and if I click Create Unscheduled Assessment, I don't normally recommend creating unscheduled assessment, but you can if there's nothing been scheduled for you. Okay, so you've got a PT version, you've got a non-PT version, but so I recommend doing the non-PT if you're not a PT.
Okay. You know what, Ken? From your example database, it's different if it's a live database, because in the live database there's like care portal, resumption of care portal, transfer. You know the names under the assessment name.
Right.
So there's actually two different kinds of resumption of care. One is for 485 only, and the other one is different. So
okay, if that
disciplines get confused.
If that's a point of confusion, I will remove those extra ones for you. We put those in for customers who, like for example, if you're doing maybe a commercial insurance patient and they don't require a full OASIS, then we just have the the 45 only part of it, or but yeah, I will remove those for you if you're doing primarily Medicare and you don't care about having maybe you have a few non-Medicare, but you want to go ahead and do the full OASIS for those. That's fine. We'll just restrict the amount of options that we have there. So I will reduce that to
maybe in the future we might, but
yeah.
Right now we're just Medicare.
Okay.
So the confusion is on the discipline side right now.
Okay. I will make a note now. Right now, just a second here. Let me.
Can you do that also with neighborhood?
Yeah, sure.
I'm doing both neighborhood and.
Sure.
Citizen.
1 second here. Remove extra assessment types, 45 only, etc. Or
Princess said this software is very good. She likes it.
Oh, great! I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I mean it's. A lot of it is, getting used to it, and then getting the correct support and make sure that we have the ability to communicate back and forth correctly. But, we're here to stand by for you, as you need it. And the last thing we want to happen is we don't want you to get frustrated. So just always contact us whenever you need help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, one more question, Ken, if you don't mind. What's
Sure.
the plant type?
Okay, good. Good. I'm glad you asked, especially in the context of the resumption.
Yeah.
Normally, when you do a resert or a start of care, it's automatically going to say 45 plan of treatment. Now, if you're doing a resumption, some agencies want to do a supplemental order along with the resumption, so that they can print both. They can print, just like for a start of care, you might want to print both the start of care assessment and the 485. But for a resumption, you want to probably print the resumption and then also a supplemental order that you can send back to the physician. But if the resumption is within the last 5 days of the episode, let's say that the patient is transferred out and then they resume care in the last 5 days of the episode, and you want to continue into the next episode, well, then you can use the track 3 resumption of care instead of a resert. Okay, you're familiar with that process, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so in that case, if it's in the last 5 days, you would want to use 45 as your plan type, because you're using the resumption exactly like you would be using a resert. But if it's in the middle of an episode and you're not using it as a resert, then you would want to choose supplemental order as your plan type. But some agencies prefer not to do either. They'll just leave it blank. So if you have a particular assessment for which you don't need to do either a 45 or a supplemental order, you'll just leave this blank. Like typically for a transfer, this is just going to be blank. Some agencies want to do a supplemental order even when they do a discharge, but others don't. So it's up to you if you want. And I think by default, it's going to be blank if it's anything other than a track 1, 3, or 4. So if it's a start of care, resert, or resumption, then it's going to default to, well, actually one or 4. Start of care or resert is going to default to plan of treatment. Otherwise, it's going to usually be blank. Okay, any other questions?
We're okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, one more question, if you don't mind. I
Sure.
remember. Sometimes notes, the notes that the discipline wrote, they sometimes write like an order for a laboratory. So they have to do a order on top of the notes.
Okay. Okay.
So how are they going to do that?
Okay, so what they'll do is there's 2 different ways of doing that. If they're in the middle of a visit note and they realize, oh, they need to do a report. So let's if I'm in assessments and visits here, let me just go home. This is in the sample database, and I'm going to go into my open documents. I'm just going to find a visit that I had started and maybe not had turned in yet. So I'm going to go into that. Let's see, SN. Here's an here's an SN visit note for Harrison Ford. So if I'm going through my assessment and I realize that that I need to do an order, then there's a way that you can, let me see here. This icon up here, the care plan, it's a little bit roundabout. I'm just showing you one way. There's 2 different ways you can do this. If you happen to be inside of an assessment or a visit note, then you can click New Supplemental Order here. Okay, so when you click New Supplemental Order, then you're going to say, this is a communication anticoagulant. whatever it might be, communication. And what was the example that you gave me that you wanted me to?
A laboratory, an order for a laboratory.
Okay, I don't see that option here, but we can add options as needed. But this is just say you can say something like laboratory report. Whatever you want to say in here,
okay.
And then click save. Okay. Or you can also click physician signature not required. Let's see it.
Just because of the maybe you need to click on
Okay.
the compatibility.
So then you can proceed to finish doing your note and so forth. Once you're out of your note, then you could go back to view docs.
Okay.
And then there should be a supplemental order here. That's
okay.
the one I just got through creating. If I print that, okay, then
print that and
laboratory report requested. So then that will show the physician's name and so forth and the orders for the patient. So yeah, you can type in whatever you want there, and then that you can use that to send off to the physician. The other thing, if you're not inside of a visit note and you want to do that, you can always select the patient. So Harrison Ford, and then you can click on assessments and visits, and then you can click create suborder. You can put the date and so forth and click next, and then it will prompt you where you can put in your notes that you want to send to the physician, and then you can click save exit, and then you can print when you're ready and send that off. So either way it'll show up in view docs, whether you do it from within a visit note or whether you do it like I just now showed you.
no. Can you go back again, Ken?
Okay. Where do you want to go?
Click on assessment visit, and then create soup order.
Okay, so then what you would do is you would want to.
Let's say we want to change the order date to 3/20 or something.
Okay. So I see from 3/18, so I'm going to change that to 3/20. So then I can put order receive date if it's different from the order start date. This particular database that we're working on is very large and very old. It's kind of slow, so I apologize for that. That's why it's taken its time. We don't have enough memory allocated to this database because it's just a sample database.
Yeah.
But normally, it's going to be, you're used to it working much faster than that. So then you can put in here, need to draw blood for a lab test or, whatever. And then you could just save and exit. Or you could click next and you could put in medication changes or diagnosis, interventions and goals. You can change your interventions and goals if you click next and keep going through this. But if you just want to put in a note here, then you can just click save exit, and then you're done. And then you can click print.
What's the submit order button? What's that
for? Just a second. So I'm just going to show you. It says need to draw blood for lab test. So that's the second way you can do it. What was this? Submit order. This is in the point of care. I'm still in the point of care. If I want to submit it to the back office, just like I would have submitted a visit to the back office,
okay.
I can do that.
So So sign and submit SOS. the discipline signed it, right?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and sign it at the same time, you can do that. So if I click Sign Submit, then I can, I don't think my user is set up here to sign this. So yeah, I'm not able to illustrate that at this point, but you can submit it to the back office or sign and submit it to the back office.
Got it. Okay. Wow, I learned so much today, Ken. Thank you.
Yeah, so you know, I didn't show you how you could go through and you could make changes, like to, for example, to the medications or the orders or what have you. If you go into my Patients Open Activities, let's see, 322, is that the one we did?
Yeah.
Supplemental order.
I think that's 318 or 3.
Yeah. So if you go in, we can see that what we had put in was the need for a blood draw, and then I apologize. This is just a very slow database here that we're looking at. Okay, so we're going to next. And that's going to give you the chance to put in, change their orders if you need to. And again, this is available from within a visit note as well if you were to click the little yellow O icon. But here you could add new goals, new interventions, new problems, just like you would in the start of care, but you can add them, that becomes part of the supplemental order. And then you can click Next again, and if you need to make changes to the patient's medications, then you can click, to add a new medication. Now, if the patient has existing medications already on file and you're just wanting to make a change to the existing ones, then you would choose this drop-down here, or this lookup here, and it looks like there's probably nothing in there. Okay, yeah, see, this is the patient's existing medications. And then, well, I'm not sure. I guess that those are not the actual existing medications. No, I was mistaken. There's no medications that this patient already has. So the only thing you can do is add new medications. But if the patient already had medications and you want to change the dosage or the frequency or whatever, then you would choose this triple dot button, and it would bring up right here in this list. It would show a list of the patient's existing medications. You would click the one that you want to change, and then you could make the change to that, and then it would still preserve the original medication as it was before, but then you'll have a history now of what it used to be and then what it is now.
Yep. Okay.
So that's the medications. So you can go as far into the supplemental order as you want. You start out with the comments, then it goes into the orders, and it goes into medications, and you can check off the thing you want to include in the medication attestation. And you can go then to diagnoses. If you want to make changes to diagnoses or add new diagnoses, you can do that. So you can also change DME and supplies. Again, none of this is required. You can just go as far into this as you want. You can put in supplies, and then you click Finish. And then once you're done, then you can just print it off again, or you can submit it to the back office and sign it, submit it to the back office.
So those changes that we did, it will be part of the supplementary order, right?
Right, right. So, but if you add any new, medications, then they'll become part of the patient's medication record, so that it will be used for next time you do a resert. If you've added a medication in a supplemental order, then that will add it to the list of the current medications, and so that when you do a resert, that new medication will appear as part of the resert, unless you put an end date on it.
Got it.
Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, and if you do get that password from Synergy, then that will make things easier. But maybe if you're okay with the process as we went through it today, then maybe that's okay. Because sometimes Ability does not like us to be using the same access, the same NGS username and password that they're using. So until you're done with the Ability account, then it might be best just to keep doing the same approach that we described today. All right.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, and we'll be in touch.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem. Yep. Bye.